Welcome everybody to the first Narayan online meditation course and the first of the series. I'm really super touched and honored that you should join me in this journey. It's the first of its kind for Narayan and for me. And maybe to start this session, because I know many of you must have come from a busy day, and I'm very honored you should take this time with all of us today. I'll invite us to just start by a minute of closing our eyes and making sure we arrive with all of our being here, that all of you is here now in the moment. And so with that, just you can close your eyes and take a deep breath as if you're breathing in through your feet, through your whole body, breathing in fresh energy, and as you breathe out, washing away any preoccupations that you may have brought from the day. You can focus on a particular part of your body where you might feel a bit of tension and breathe into it. Maybe you still have lots of worries or thoughts on your mind from meetings or things like that, and just wash it all away. There is no other place than here. There is no other moment than now. And you can also take a moment to thank yourself. Thank yourself for taking this moment for you, for the most precious part of you, actually. Thank you so much for joining this webinar series. I've prepared a little PowerPoint presentation to guide us through the session. So we have an hour together. And part of this time will be more like a theoretical or conceptual presentation about what meditation is and so on, and also an introduction to some of the practicalities of meditation. I'll walk us through that little presentation, but pausing once in a while for there to be any questions. We'll end, of course, the session with about 10-15 minutes of practice. Every session I will increase gradually the amount of practice that we do. But since today is our first start, it will be a little bit shorter. This course, and actually many of you, this course is inspired for professionals who are working hard to try to make the world a little bit of a better place. Many of you are working or engaged with your heart, with your hands, with your minds in trying to do good in the world. And we find often that it's a tiring enterprise, one where we can feel a little bit overwhelmed. And that's why meditation is such a precious tool to accompany us in that journey, and why I called it How to Deepen Our Impact and Brighten Our Life Through This Wonderful Practice. Just to introduce very briefly Narayan. Narayan is a little social enterprise I created last year, which aims to promote a soulful approach to sustainable development. And its vision is born from my 20 years of working with NGOs and the United Nations organizations in many contexts, mostly in Afghanistan and Sub-Saharan Africa. And after all these years, I've seen that really a lot of projects don't work very well because people don't necessarily work well together. And often people don't work well together if the individuals that compose teams are not well themselves. And I've seen so much benefits in my own life through practicing more and more yoga and meditation that I thought we have to bring these things together. And that led to this vision that global and institutional change for more sustainable and equitable food systems and economies can only come through more effective and genuine teamwork, enhanced personal well-being and consciousness. And central to all of this, reconnecting to the sacredness of life in all its forms. And so through Narayan, I have different activities, and it's the first time really that I'm proposing something on meditation. So thank you for being here. The aha moment that led to the foundation of Narayan was about 3-4 years ago. Yes, 3.5 years ago, when a friend, David Nabarro, who was then advisor to the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon on the Agenda 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals and climate change, told me in an informal conversation, you know, Charlotte, there's an unwritten 18th Sustainable Development Goal, which is about love and joy, and it infuses all the others. And that really resonated very, very strongly with me, because at the time I was in the middle of my training to become an instructor of Ananda Yoga. And a key message in that practice is that the joy is within you, the love is within you. And I really saw, and especially when David said these words, that the change that we want to see in the world will start from within each of us. And so that's why this has brought me from my UN job to creating Narayan and being here with you today. So what we will learn throughout the course is why meditate, its benefits and the qualities of the super consciousness. You might be curious, I'll tell you more about this today. A lot about how to meditate, anything from posture and managing our energy, using our breath to relax and concentrate. And as I mentioned in the announcements of the course, the Hong Saw mantra, very sacred mantra. And also we will talk about how to sustain our practice, not an easy thing, but so important. And in all of that, I'll be drawing upon the ancient science of yoga and maybe also sharing with you some of the core teachings of yoga, which is much, much more than what yoga is famous for, i.e. downward facing dog or other postures. It is a whole science of life, and we will be drawing upon that. So today, to get started, we will talk about what is meditation. And I'll spend quite a bit of time on the benefits of meditation. Indeed, to sustain a practice, it's so important to be motivated because, yes, meditation, like any path, has its ups and downs, and it requires a little bit of discipline. Many of you are already meditating in different ways, some of you since many years, and I'm honored that you should take the time to also discover a new technique with us. Maybe some of you are only more starting. So we'll delve into those, and you'll feel the benefits from the very beginning, from the very second you sit down to meditate. But because it takes motivation and commitment to deepen the practice, it's good to know all that can come from it. We'll go into the different levels of consciousness and how meditation is a door to the super consciousness. You must be getting really curious about this word you've been hearing, and I'm not going to tell you more just now. And today we'll also go into the correct posture and creating a supportive atmosphere and how to use the breath to calm the mind and body. And in the next sessions, next time we'll be going more depth about deepening one's concentration, and we'll go more into what happens in our energy in meditation and how we use the breath to really go deep. In the third session, I'll talk about the Hong Saw mantra, its meanings, and we'll start practicing with this mantra. In the fourth session, we will build up the momentum and talk about how to sustain and deepen our practice. And then we can have 3 follow-up sessions at various dates, increasing span of time for some guided meditations, but also a moment of sharing and experiences and questions and so on that we may have. My teachers from this course are the great yogi Paramhansa Yogananda. He was the author of this famous book, Autobiography of a Yogi, which he was in the United States between the 1920s until his passing away in 1952. Actually, it was yesterday, the anniversary of his passing away. And one of his main disciples, Swami Kriyananda, founded communities in America, in Italy, where I learned all my training as a teacher of Ananda Yoga and now meditation, and also in India. And he passed away in 2013. But their teachings are still very vibrant and alive. And you will find, if you are doing already another practice or so on, that the world has given us so many wonderful guides, and they all lead us to one common truth. And so I will hope that even if you have different practice or experience, or you will feel there's resonance between what I will share with you and what you already believe and experience. So what is meditation and why meditate? Meditation is a scientific technique of concentration, which uses the breath to relax the body and calm the mind. And when I say scientific, it's really because of this notion that it's built on thousands of years of experience, of experiments that have been repeated time and time and time again, and which lead to similar results. So it is knowledge that is gained through experience. That is such as the science of yoga, and maybe it's now becoming also part of Western science as more and more peer-reviewed journals are publishing on neuroscience and health, and all of these other disciplines are discovering the beauty of these practices. And concentration is at the heart of it. So what is concentration? Swami Kriyananda describes it as a means of being able to free the mind from any distraction, including one's thoughts and emotions, and to direct one's attention towards a unique object. And there is a great power in doing that, as we will learn together. In meditation, we achieve stillness of body and mind. And that stillness becomes increasingly precious in our world where everything's accelerated. I imagine you must all be receiving dozens, if not hundreds of emails every day. We're constantly connected. And the irony of it is that we're so connected everywhere that we end up being disconnected from ourselves. And we'll see how connecting with our deepest part of ourselves, that very precious part, requires stillness. And that is what we achieve through meditation. It also helps us achieve a state of heightened awareness. And so, but ironically, by being disconnecting at a certain level, we are able to reconnect and connect at a very deep level with the world and with our own being. So the benefits of meditation you surely know already, and that's why you're probably here. Of course, they help us to stay calm even when situations are stressful. It has wonderful effects for health and strengthening our immune system. It helps us to focus. I mean, as I said, through meditation, we're constantly practicing focusing, bringing back our attention to one point and one object of concentration, be it the breath or the mantra. And that practice of training the mind to focus becomes really powerful in other areas of our lives. And I've seen that in my work. I find I'm just so much more efficient. I can spend less time on a document, but I'm sometimes really impressed by how my mind seems to go straight to the point. And so there's this sharpened focus that can help you really actually gain time. So we often say, I'm way too busy to meditate. But I found that the gains of time we make by just seeing more clearly, taking decisions more faster, makes it really a worthwhile investment. Meditation also helps us be grounded and centered. The sense of, especially when the world around you is so busy. And that's quite important for many things, for one's well-being, of course, but also because it helps us interact with others from I would almost say, a wiser point of view. So many relationships in our life, at work, at the office, in our families maybe, kind of get up being contaminated by negative vibes, no? Because we're reacting. Somebody says something and it's like, oh, it upsets you, and you immediately react, and then the person gets upset back at you, and we get into these vicious cycles of reacting and so on. And by being more grounded and more centered, you can take the time to stop and think, okay, why am I feeling this way? Do I want to react? Or can I choose to respond, maybe in a way that's not going to escalate or make things more complicated, but rather make them easier? So this becomes a natural tendency just coming out of the practice of meditation. At another level, there are other benefits of meditation that maybe one doesn't hear so much about. One of them is this greater awareness, this greater intuition. The intuition is the part of our mind that kind of knows naturally without having to learn, or it's just that part of you that just feels it's right. And these intuition, they often come from a space of truth. Many scientific discoveries, great scientists, when they went out to prove a certain hypothesis, they first had an intuition. I want to test that out. And then they tested. So the intuition is also your inner guidance, something that you can hear from your heart or sometimes from your gut, but something that's really telling you, ooh, this is maybe not so right, or this is maybe the right course. Linked to that is this ability to attune oneself to circumstances and to others, to animals, to nature, feeling more connected. One element that I will go more into, especially in the third course, is something that I've experienced, which I describe as gradually feeling supported by something greater than myself. By ironically letting go of wanting to control situations and relaxing into them, thanks to the practice of meditation, I found things often happen much more smoothly than when I was trying to do everything myself and control everything. I found that somehow by meditating more and more regularly, I was flowing with life more, accepting more how it came, and lo and behold, when you accept, things often go better. And it's like life flows with you, and it's not such a struggle anymore. It's not so difficult. And that also brings a lot of joy. As I was saying, the joy is within you. And that's something we often waste a lot of energy trying to find joy outside. But a lot of the joy you find outside can only be temporary and often leads to disappointment. But there is a little precious space in ourselves. Actually, it's huge inside when you start exploring it, but where there's boundless joy. And it's just waiting for you to tap into that. So now I'm going to go into these mysterious words I was talking about, in particular, super consciousness. There are different levels of consciousness, and many of us know about the conscious mind and the subconscious. Freud made the subconscious very, very famous. But there is this other dimension of the superconscious mind, which Yogananda talked about. Some psychologists, I think, also speak about such things. And we'll go a little bit into what these are. The conscious mind is our normal state of consciousness when we're awake. The conscious mind collects information through the centers. We smell things, we feel things, we see things, we analyze, we collect information through all of these. And then we organize them. We make sense of it. So there's very powerful characteristics of our conscious mind, is that we rationalize, we can organize and categorize information. So, yeah, this is maybe good, this is maybe not so good, or this is the first step, this is the second step. It allows us to take decisions. In a way, it gives us the ability to be in control of our lives. So there's many strengths of the conscious mind. It's in really a very important part of what makes us human distinct from other parts of creation, is that consciousness. On the not so positive side, the conscious mind likes to accumulate a lot of information to the point that it may not even know what to do with it anymore. It's like almost too much information kills information. And the mind is constantly chatting. You know, that little voice in your head that's always going, oh, and did you think about that? And oh, I really didn't like it when he said that. And blah, 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 blah. And you just want to shut it up so you can relax. But it's very, very busy, chitty chatter, chitty chatter, chitty chatter. And it likes to control you. So it doesn't like to be shut off. And that's a big part of the battle of meditation, is telling the mind, shh. It also tends to be quite problem-oriented. It likes to complicate things. Yes, but if I do that, then this will happen, and oh, and blah, blah. So yes, it's very good with making problems about all sorts of situations. And maybe the most, I would say, dangerous, or the biggest trap of the conscious mind, is that it is highly influenced by our subconscious mind, but of course without us knowing. So there often we have feelings or sensations, or we take decisions that we think are right, but where are we coming from? And that's where we can go into the subconscious mind and what it is. So Swami Kriyananda described it as the vast terrain of our mind which conditions our comprehension of life without us being aware of it. What's in there? Well, on the very positive side is, thanks to our subconscious mind, we can acquire very useful habits. For example, driving, tying your shoelaces. And it's good to not have to remember every time how to shift gear or how to put your pedal on the brake. And I think when you're driving, there are lots of things that we do automatically, and we don't need to use some of our conscious mind space or bandwidth while doing it. And we can also focus, for example, in the case of driving, you can focus on seeing the other drivers and what they're doing. It also can give us some instincts, which, you know, in the case of survival and so on, can be very good. On the not so positive side, the subconscious mind stores all of our fears, all of our prejudices, all of the self-doubts, all of those things that have been accumulated through our past experiences, events that have been hurtful, words that have, you know, made us believe, oh, I can't do that. So there's all of these things that condition us. They condition what we think about ourselves. We're so good about limiting ourselves and our potential, and I'll go on to that later, but that really is all those subconscious fears and worries that says, no, you can't, and be careful about that person, or it's also where all these prejudices come from. So the subconscious mind places filters on our perception and understanding, and thereby conditions our relationship to the world, not always in very nice ways. And that's why we want to connect to the superconscious mind. The superconscious mind, so Yogananda and Swami Kriyananda explain that its seat is here, what many yogis and other spiritual paths call the third eye or spiritual eye. And in the brain, it corresponds to the most advanced part of the brain, the prefrontal lobes, the seat of our imagination and intuition and so on. The superconscious mind provides clarity to our thoughts. Comparing it with the conscious mind that likes to accumulate information, it's going to help you say, this is it. It's very solution oriented, it's creative, it helps you find your way out of the dark woods. Also, it operates beyond the confines of time and space. In the conscious mind, we tend to think of time as a linear phenomenon, but actually, and maybe the participants who are joining us, not just now, but who are listening to us maybe in 24 hours after this webinar, actually feel this reality that time and space actually maybe operate very differently from what we perceive. Through the superconscious mind, we connect to universal truths, eternal truths, those of the soul, those of our deep heart, or as Eckhart Tolle says, the deep eye. And the superconscious mind provides us with guidance rather than fixed rules. Very, very special about the superconsciousness are its qualities. They are peace, calm, love, joy, wisdom, power, light, and sound. So these are the qualities of our superconsciousness. These are also the qualities of our soul. That is what the yogis tell us, that these are the nature of our soul. And that is why love and joy are found within. So through meditation, we want to connect with our superconsciousness, with a higher self. And just to show this little graph here, both the superconscious mind and the subconscious influence our decisions, our way of thinking, our perception of the world. But what we try to do is maybe inverse the relationship, where we can be guided more by the higher part, that more elevated part of ourselves, rather than by our fears, for example, that tend to constrain us. Remember, one of the qualities of the soul is power and wisdom. And we have a strong part of our mind that often says, no, 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 you can't. And no, you want to connect to that part of you that makes you more expansive. That's where I'd like to end this little section about why I meditate on a word about yoga more in general. And I'll be drawing upon those teachings in the next classes too. Yoga means union or oneness. And that can be with your higher self, with the deep eye, as Eckhart Tolle calls it, your soul, higher consciousness, or God, however you relate to the divine. And for some of us who have a Christian culture, we were told in the Bible that Jesus says, you are children of God. And for me, it started making sense when I said, well, if my soul is love and joy and power and wisdom, and I can connect that inside, maybe that's what he meant by, being a child of God. And it really doesn't matter if you believe in God or not, how you relate to the divine. It can be nature, creation. It really doesn't matter. What really counts here is your personal experience of connecting to that space of love and joy inside. And that's what yoga is about, is a path out of suffering. Because again, the soul is love, joy, wisdom, power, peace, and calm, and all these things. And what the yogis refer to as the ego is the soul that has forgotten its divine nature. It thinks it's its little self with this body and these limiting circumstances. And according to the yogis, a lot of us feel a suffering or unfulfillment or frustration, the lack of something, because we remember that we had something much, much, much greater than this, and we miss it. And so we long to reconnect with that bliss, this divine consciousness that the yogis called Sat Chit Ananda, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss, in the words of Yogananda. And so we will see also throughout the course that there are many paths of yoga, and central to it all is meditation. And it is that path to union and bliss. So this is what I wanted to share as a little introduction on why meditate and why it's such a precious gift to engage in this practice. I'll make a little pause here to ask if any of you have any questions or comments, or I know some of you already practice. If you want to add to what I've said, the floor is yours. So at a very practical level, how to meditate. The first part of how to meditate is that we need a lot of energy, because, and this is something we'll go more into next week, when we meditate, we're actually trying to bring energy basically into our center, into our core, and then up precisely towards the seat of our intuition. But we need a high level of energy to do that. That's also to make sure we don't fall asleep on the meditation cushion, which can be very easy to do when we've had a very busy day. So there's many ways of energizing. You can go jogging, you can run around the house, you can whatever, but I can share you a very little simple one that you can do before meditating, and it's the Yogananda's energization exercises. So there's a total of 39, but I'll just show you a few extracts as we go over the weeks. But in those exercises, we use the will to attract more energy in the body by contracting and relaxing the muscles. So we can do a little experiment. I think, Andrea, you remember we did that last week. You can take your two fists and just start contracting just one of them, and contracting it to the point that it's almost vibrating. You can close your eyes as you do this. You're making your arm vibrate, vibrate, vibrate by contracting and focusing on that arm. And then stop and feel if there's a difference between the two. Maybe the one you've contracted feels like it's tingling, or maybe it's a bit warmer, more expansive. And that's because you've attracted more energy into this arm by your will, by the contracting of your muscles, and by focusing in the arm. And so the energization exercises are based on that principle. There's another element to them which helps, is this double breathing, double breath in through the nose and then out through the mouth. So, and there's an excellent exercise that is very easy, which I'll show you now. And if you want, especially if you're alone in your house, nobody's watching and thinking you're gonna be crazy, you can do it with me. So you can see most of my body, I think. The way it goes is we're gonna bend our knees and bring our palms together as we breathe out, and then we're gonna tense all our muscles from the feet all the way to the top as we breathe in. And then we're going to do this fast, adding the double breath. And then tense with a double in breath, and again. And you can see, try to keep your back straight. One last time. And now if you've done it, you might find that you're a little bit hotter. So that's been, you've energized a bit. So again, you do that by breathing out as you close your palms, and relaxing as you do that, and then tensing all the muscles as you open with a double in breath. That's one of them, and we'll see a little bit more as we go along. Now, the correct posture. I think there are different schools in meditation. Some advise being seated and, you know, just going through it, even if your legs fall asleep or if you experience pain. Yogananda and Kriyananda, they say, be comfortable. In meditation, you want to forget the body. After a while, if you want to enter deep, you want to forget the body. So if you're not comfortable, it's going to be hard to go deep. So choose a chair, a cushion, a bench, and really what is comfortable for you. And it's important in doing that to have a straight back. You can tuck in your abdomen slightly to help that, and relax the shoulders. The chin slightly tucked. You don't want to be like this or like this. And palms upwards. So I have some examples here. You can be on a chair. And when you're on the chair, don't lay back against the back of the chair. You're seated, trying to have more or less a 90-degree angle with between your thigh and your calf and your body. And as you can see, palms upwards, and they're rested there on the corner of my thighs because that helps to open the chest. By having them close like this, it helps lengthen the spine and open the chest. And the elbows are close to your body and your chin slightly tucked in. If you're sitting on a cushion, which can be a very nice position, it's preferable that it's such that your knees are on the floor, because then you have a triangle that makes you very stable. If your knees are popping up and you're kind of balancing on the cushion, that might be hard to sustain for a longer practice. So that's where Hatha Yoga, the physical postures, helps build up the flexibility of the thighs and waist to of the hips, to be more comfortable in this position. And again, that's where practice helps. When I started meditating, that's my favorite posture. It was hard for me to be like this more than 15 minutes without my right thigh falling asleep. Now it does that after 50 minutes or an hour. And then I shift to the chair. If I'm doing a really long meditation, I alternate between the cushion and the chair. And then, or you can have a little bench, again, with your knees nicely on the floor and comfortably seated there. So many opportunities. Little extra refinements. Our energy is influenced by also the energy of the earth and other things. For example, gravity. Gravity tends to pull our energy down, but in meditation we want to bring it up. So you can sit on a wool or silk blanket, because that kind of isolates us from the gravity and that pull. That's why I've put a blanket on the chair and under my cushions there. And you can face towards the east or northeast, and that apparently helps to go a little bit deeper. So these are refinements, don't worry about it so much, but just thought that you may want to know. Now, central to the practice is the breath. Breath is very tied to our energy. The word prana in Sanskrit actually has 3 meanings. It means breath, at the physical level, but it also relates to energy, and energy is what flows and makes everything alive, basically. And in the broader sense of things, it is life. So by working with our breath, we're actually being able to control the flow of our energy, and as we've seen before, gradually attain more control of our life in a way that we choose from our higher self. The breath and the heart are also very closely connected. And that's why calming the breath calms the heart. And it calms it so that in very, very deep meditation, your heartbeat really slows and you can even attain breathlessness. I mean, that's the states that the yogis achieve when they go into a high state of enlightenment. They're basically breathless, and they can be so for hours. But you'll also experience it yourself, this slowing down of the heart and the breath. And don't worry, it's fine, and it's actually quite comfortable. Usually after, when you start realizing, oh my gosh, I'm not breathing, then the ego remembers and then you start breathing again. But you're safe. And again, focusing on the breath can calm the mind as well. Again, we're concentrating on the breath helps to do away with all those other distractions. So there's two ways of using the breath that we'll experiment with in this practice of Hong So. One is in the first phase of our meditation where we control the breath with pranayama. Yama means control and prana means breath, so control of the breath. But as we saw, it's also about controlling our energy. And so a very simple way of relaxing the breath and entering in that state is through triangular breathing. So it's this breathing where you inhale for a few counts, and then you hold, and then you exhale the same amount of counts. So if it's 6 inhale, you hold 6 and you exhale 6. And in doing so, it's good to breathe from your abdomen, filling all your chest all the way to the top. And then as you breathe out, you empty your lungs and then all the way down, emptying even that lower abdomen. In breathing, actually, our main muscle for breathing is the diaphragm, which is here between our inner organs and then the lungs. And many of us tend to breathe with the chest from that part, but we want to gradually try to breathe more and more with the abdomen. And so what I invite you to do now is we're going to practice this breathing in the abdomen, then gradually filling the chest and then down again. And before doing the triangular breathing, just to get this notion, and you can even place your hands on your abdomen to feel if it's expanding as you breathe. So close your eyes, breathe out, and then place your hands on your abdomen and lower back and breathe into there. Then fill the chest all the way up and breathe out from the top, and you can even tuck in your stomach as you breathe out. And then again, breathe in, expanding, filling the abdomen, the ribs, the chest. And then chest, ribs, and abdomen. Trying to always imagine that deep breathing. And we can practice once this pranayama together, and then I'll integrate it in our little practice just after. But let's have a go at it. So breathe out. And it's through the nose, breathe in. Hold. And breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. And so on. So that's the triangular breathing. Very simple, but an excellent way of concentrating on the breath and gradually relaxing the body. Another way of using the breath, which we'll see is central to Hong So, is just observing it without controlling at all, letting it flow and just watching it, almost as if you were watching it as something exterior to yourself, as if something was breathing through you. So we'll experiment with that too. So before we go into our little about 10-minute practice, would you have any questions, any thoughts, anything? Yeah, the floor is yours. So with that, well, I invite you to let's try it. Let's try it. Enough talking, and let's go into the experience. That was something Yogananda would always say: "Don't believe me, experience it." And that is the only way to know that it's a truth that can speak to. And I mean, each of us, we can live it differently. Each of us have very different meditation experiences. That's maybe something good to know. Don't expect anything about meditation or what it should be. Some people may see colors as they hear sounds. People like me don't have any of those super experiences. I just feel deep, deep peace and warm feeling in my heart. Sometimes it's different. So just, you have your own unique way of meditating. You'll have your own unique experiences, and they will be different every day. Some days easier, some days harder. So just be very, very gentle with yourself and just welcome what is. Just welcome what is. So with that, let's go for it. So we can start actually by energizing. So if you haven't done it before, and even if you have, let's do it again, because that really helps. If you double breath. Tensing, bringing power. And okay, now sit comfortably. Remember the nice points about the posture. So you want to be seated in whatever way is comfortable for you. Now I'm on a nice stool. So if you're on a chair, feet flat on the ground, making sure your knees are more or less 90 degrees with your sort of calves, and the knees are at a 90-degree angle. And same thing, you have a nice straight back. You place your palms on the corner of your thighs. Then take a deep breath in, lengthening your spine, and then relaxing your shoulders down. You don't want to be like this, you just relax down. Use your breath to help you find the right posture. And we're going to do the same thing about contracting and releasing the muscles with double in-breath as we're sitting down. So double breathe in, and then relax as you breathe in. Tense all of your muscles from the toes, every muscle, and even in your face, and then again. Now scan your body to sense if there's any part of your body that's still a little bit tense, a little bit stressed, for example, maybe in the shoulders, and you can do a double in-breath in that part. And then relax. Those energization exercises are also a great way of relaxing tensions, which also releases energy. And now you can start by connecting to something greater than yourself. Whatever it is that resonates for you, maybe nature, the thought of a tree, or just the experience of love. Anything that makes your heart swell a little bit, expand, connect to that. Maybe just beauty, something beautiful you saw today. A smile. Take the time to connect with something greater than yourself, something which brings you joy. And with that connection, we're going to start a few triangular breaths. So breathe out to empty your lungs, and then breathe in. Hold, and breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Breathe in. hold, breathe out. Continue this triangular breathing in your own count, just making sure it's the same as you breathe in, when you hold, and when you exhale. And you may find that with each breath as you relax, the breath becomes longer. And enjoy the flow. Breathing in deep from your abdomen, filling up the ribs, the chest, but without tension, creating a wave. Then holding when the lungs are full. And breathing out. Continuing to breathe smoothly, deeply. And feel how you're washing yourself, washing away tensions, washing away preoccupations with your breath. Breath becomes deeper and slower, focusing your mind on that beautiful wave of breath, on the magic of the breath. Feeling so alive as you breathe in. You can breathe in gratitude for the oxygen, for the vitality. As you breathe out, you can spread this vitality to every cell in your body. Continuing with 2 more full triangular breaths. Breathing out, breathing space through your body. And after that last out breath, you can gently tense your body again with a gentle double in breath. And out breath, relax again. And relax. And now just observe the breath. Observe this flow that comes spontaneously and fills you with life. You may observe it in the lungs, feeling them rise and fall. Feel how comforting it is to connect with that gentle wave. This wave is good to you. It wants only good for you. You can observe the breath also in the nasal pathway as you breathe in and out, feeling the slight current of air. Your mind may wander, but just bring it back to the breath. Just like watching clouds pass in the sky, you let the the thought wash away and just come back to the breath, its soothing regularity. It's so peaceful. Observing the breath, you can even feel it at the very top of the nasal pathway, almost the point between your eyebrows. You just observe it there. And now you can think of a beautiful quality of the superconsciousness you may want to tune into. Maybe it's love or peace, sense of calm. Maybe it's wisdom or light. Choose one and visualize yourself as one with this quality. Feel it growing in your heart and in your mind. I am wisdom. I am love. Feel it pervading every cell of your being, every sparkle of your aura. And sense in your heart if there's at least a little sparkle of joy, a spark of gratitude for that gentle practice, for the peace of the breath. You can stay connected to that sparkle of joy and imagine that you're still full of that beautiful quality that you connected to, and take a deep breath and then breathe out. And when you're ready, you can come back and open your eyes. Thank you for joining me in this little practice. I see it's already 5 o'clock. I'm just going to put up one last slide, which is a little recommended way of practicing at home. I'll send you these slides right after I hang up, so don't worry, you'll have them at hand. And so you can, energize with double breathing and have this little sequence like we did, connecting to and relaxing the body, connecting with something greater than yourself, doing a few of this triangular breathing. 12 can be a nice count. And then observing the breath, connecting with the quality of the superconsciousness, and closing with an intention or positive thought for yourself or others. And you can practice maybe 5 to 10 minutes in the morning and in the evening, or one of the two. Set yourself an objective that you feel comfortable with. It's better to do a little bit it's better to set out and do a little bit and do it than to set out to do too much and not do it. And you can also take 2 breath breaks during the day. I set my alarm clock, and once in a while it goes off, and I stop my work and I just sit for 2 minutes and I just take a few deep triangular breaths like that. And that really helps. So the path of meditation is really a path worth walking. And so I hope you will enjoy walking it and never, ever, ever give up.